Hi, everybody. My name is Andrea. I'm the Program Coordinator for the Coalition to Prevent Lead Poisoning. So I'll just go around and we can introduce ourselves. I'll start with Elizabeth.
Good morning. I'm Elizabeth McDade. I am the Program Manager for the Coalition to Prevent Lead Poisoning. Welcome, everybody.
And next on my screen is Conrad.
Hi, I'm Conrad Floss. I work for the City of Rochester, and I run the rehab programs and the lead hazard control program.
And if you wouldn't mind, just when I call your name, just giving us a little bit about who you are and why you're interested today, that'd be great. So I'll start with Donna.
Hi, I'm Donna Sarkis, and I'm a landlord, and I have been since 2001. And I'm joining today because I'm interested in finding out maybe if I'm eligible for some grants for some of my housing.
Great. Next on my screen is Maya.
Hi, I'm Maya Fitzstevens. I'm a research assistant at Silent Spring Institute in Newton, Mass. Although I am a Rochester native. And I'm here because I'm working with a couple of other people on the call on a new HUD-funded Healthy Homes Technical Studies grant that will be looking at the potential co-benefits of lead control programs on other contaminants found in household dust. So
Wonderful.
just here to learn more about the program.
Welcome, Maya. I see Robin.
Hi, I'm Robin Dotson. I'm a research scientist with Silent Spring Institute, and I work with Maya on that new HUD-funded study.
Welcome. Next on my screen is Maxine. Hi. And then Jennifer.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Becker. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I work with the Western New York Lead Poisoning Resource Center, and even though I've been in this job for 7 years, I still don't know all the details of the city lead grants, and I'm looking forward to hearing more.
Great. And then last but not least is Kate.
Hello. I tried to get my camera working this time, but now all you get is my picture. I'm Kate Flown. I work at the University of Rochester in the Environmental Health Sciences Center. So I wear a couple of hats. I work with Katrina Korfmacher, and we do a lot of lead-related work, but also I am on the HUD grant as well with Maya and Robin. So I'm excited to hear a little bit more with that context, thinking about it.
So Donna and Maxine, you're going to get our full attention this one because everybody else is doing research and you guys are the ones with the real questions.
So real quick, I'll just give some explanation as to who the coalition is, and then I'll hand it off to Elizabeth and Conrad. So the Coalition to Prevent Lead Poisoning has been in Rochester for over a decade now. We're an education and advocacy group focused on childhood lead poisoning prevention. And I'm sure as many of you know, Rochester has, a history of older housing, and we are also considered a national leader in lead poisoning prevention because of our historic partnerships across the city, including with people like Conrad at the City of Rochester. So we're so thankful that he could be on our call today to help us answer these questions. And we have been working with Conrad for a few months now to help spread awareness about this grant, and also just part of what we do is to educate the public on lead poisoning prevention. So anything that I missed in that, Elizabeth?
Well, poor Conrad has actually been working with the Coalition to Prevent Lead Poisoning way more than a few months. We've actually had a long-standing relationship with the City of Rochester.
Right.
And one of the things that, the reason this grant is even here, really, in a lot of ways, and though not all, is because of our lead ordinance. The City of Rochester has a lead ordinance that was put into place voted in 2005 and implemented beginning July of 2006. And that requires that rental property be lead safe upon a certificate of occupancy inspection. But the work that we've been doing collaboratively and collectively in our community, including partners at the University of Rochester, Monroe County Department of Public Health, et cetera, really a huge collaborative effort that's been going on for well over 2 decades. We have grants. Our community's been able to demonstrate to HUD and to other funders that we have some ways to address this issue, and so they make the money available. I'm sorry for my dog, of course she's barking right now. We make the money available to homeowners and to landlords, and so there's some new funding right now, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. Conrad at the City of Rochester is the wonderful administrator who actually looks over all of that and corrals all the cats and is the man with all the answers. So we look forward to learning a little bit more about this. Conrad, can you give us just some basic overview of the lead grant?
Well, there's no such thing as a basic overview, but I'll do my best. Yeah, I'll spare you all the history. We've been doing these lead grants since 1927, and it's been
1927?
Being sarcastic.
Okay,
Started,
I check.
feels like it's been that long. We started in earnest in, let's see, 2003, 2004, we got our first grant. And we've been getting grants ever since. It's been, I certainly don't take all the credit for getting those grants. We are blessed having this huge network in Rochester that are at the forefront of fighting this disease and having the data available to show HUD that we have a need in Rochester. I'm just the guy that's putting the paper together and putting it in. So if that data wasn't there, we didn't have and then later on the ordinance, which you know, really helped us get the grants. Absent of all that, you know, it'd be very difficult to get the funding. So I've been doing this a long time. The funding is available for owner occupants and landlords. There's quite a bit there. We just got an allocation, an award of $5.1 million last year, and it's going. We're full throttle right now. I can't keep up, to be honest with you, with all the applications that are coming in. So how does it work? Well, first of all, for information, it is online on our website. It is also available through Renew for people who participate in Renew and through the coalition. And the coalition has been doing a lot of work promoting there you go, there's brochures there. And the contract we have right now with Causewave / coalition.
Excuse me, Conrad.
Yeah.
Don't worry, just hang on. Don't worry, Maxine. I put the link in the chat for that brochure. So all you do, I'm talking to Maxine. She was trying to see that brochure very quickly. The link is in the chat. So if you can actually look on the chat, you'll find the link to be able to get to the page with all the information, Maxine.
And I can certainly get it just
Conrad. Thank you.
Yeah, and I can, at any time, at any request, I can get brochures out to people. We have tons of them here in the office. The program covers, there's funding available both for owner occupants and landlords. They're essentially the same program with one difference. With the owner occupants, you have to have a child under 6 or a visiting child under 6 or a pregnant occupant.
Can you, Conrad, can you please, so the visiting child, so either you must be the parent or the primary or the caregiver or the guardian of a child under 6, or have a child under 6 spend a lot of time in your home. What is that amount of time that
It's child? Liberal, 8 hours.
8 hours?
It's pretty liberal.
Right?
Yes, yeah.
8 hours a week has to be in your home, and then you can actually qualify for, well, potentially qualify for this grant. That's one of the criteria, correct?
Right. So with the, you know, as long as you have the child under 6, the house has to be built before 78. What house in Rochester isn't? Has to have, you know, lead-based paint hazards, which we would test later. And then meet the income guidelines. There is which is consistent with all programs funded by HUD. There is an income guideline that we have to follow. So households can't exceed a certain income. Yeah, that's it there.
I'm just showing that you actually do very clearly articulate in the brochure, you know, exactly what those guidelines are. So that's helpful.
If you'd like, I can pull up the PDF of the brochure and share my screen while you're talking, Conrad.
Sure.
Okay.
With the landlord program, the difference there is you don't have to have the child under 6 in your units. They just have to be income eligible, and that has to be, okay, we've got the brochure up. The tenants do have to be income eligible though too, with the same income chart as would be applied to the owner occupants. The the work that gets covered under, also with the landlord program, you do have to contribute 10% of your own funds. So typically that usually runs around $2,000, seems to be the average out-of-pocket expense for these landlord projects. Okay, so what the funding covers is anything that's considered to be a lead-based paint hazard. So we would come out to the property once you're approved, and you get an approval letter. We would set up a lead-based paint inspection. It's really a consultant that would come out to do an inspection / risk assessment on the property. And that report comes back to me, and anything that's in that report that's identified as a hazard is really the work scope. That is what gets covered with the grant funds. Typical work activities: windows, doors, porches, siding. We do a ton of windows. That's really the number one thing that we do through this program are the windows. We do a lot of interior painting, a ton of porch repair and painting, more repairs now, sometimes outright replacement, because these properties are getting so old. Yeah. Were you going to say something, Elizabeth?
I just wanted to point out that, you know, one of the things to make sure that we're aware of when we're talking about this is that these are not, you know, the homeowner doesn't get to choose, right, what gets done, because this really is focused on lead hazards. And the things that you just identified, including porches, doors, windows, etc., are all friction surfaces, right? Those are the main concerns for lead-based paint hazards, because that's where dust is created. So when we're thinking about those things, I just want to make sure everybody understands that the grant is really focused on where there are hazards.
And, you know, in addition to the friction surfaces, you know, the exterior of the property, most of these properties are old clapboard siding. It's peeling quite a bit. So if it's in really bad shape, we side it because it's more cost effective. Otherwise, we would scrape and paint. One of the things that we try to you know, instill to people more and more with this program: this is not a rehab program. The expectation level, because we've been doing this program for so long now, by the time we get done with some of these properties, they look really good, and that's good. That's a good thing, but it's really by default. Rehab programs look at to, you know, improve curbside appeal and improve property value. The lead program accomplishes that, but by default. So a lot of landlords out there say, "Oh my God, look at that property went through the landlord program, the lead program. It has brand new siding and a brand new porch and all these new windows." Well, that's because it was the most cost-effective way to get that project done. It doesn't mean that we just carte blanche put siding on properties just for the, you know, the sake that it looks nicer. And I'm running into that more and more now, where some of the landlords are getting disappointed. Like, "Hey, you know, that guy got siding and you're only like spot painting my house." You know, we have to constantly remind people this is strictly for addressing lead-based paint hazards to protect child occupants. That's really what we try to get across to anybody that applies to the program.
And the truth is, you have way more people applying for these funds than there are. So not everybody is going to get everything that, the full match kind of thing. Really, this is this idea of really identifying where the specific hazards are to make the property safe for children.
Right. That's the goal. Now we try to get through this as quickly as possible. Our fundamental, the biggest question is, how long does the program take? Well, there's so many variables and so many moving parts, and now that we're in COVID, it's a difficult question to answer. But I can tell you our average is between 4 to 6 months. From the time we get the application to the time we actually get a clearance, it's 4 to 6 months. You know, there are a lot of steps in the program. Getting through the application process can sometimes take 30 days if your tenants are not cooperative in giving you income documentation. We do whatever we can to make that easy. Oh, you know what? Let me back up one step. Applications. Where you get the applications are at the neighborhood service centers. So depending on the address of the property would dictate what service center you go to. There's 4 in the city.
So the city is divided up into quadrants for people who aren't that familiar. The neighborhood service center, the addresses are right there. So you would go to the neighborhood service center that is in your quadrant.
Yeah, so they take the application, they'll answer all your questions. They just started in August, and for the amount of training that's involved with this program and the knowledge base you have to have, they're doing a remarkable job getting applications to us and answering people's questions and all the technicality that goes into this program. There's just, it takes years and years of cultivation to fully understand everything. And they've been doing a really good job under that. So anyhow, once just coming back to process a bit, once I get a completed application, that can take, anywhere from 2 weeks to a month. If I get it right away, I try to look at it the day I get it. I haven't been very successful with that because of the volume. So I can take up to 2 weeks now to go through an application and get it approved. Once that happens, you get an approval letter, and we immediately on that same day order your risk assessment, as I explained before, to send somebody out to test the property. All right. Once the report comes back, the property owner gets a call from us to set up a time to go out and do the actual work write-up. So one of our property rehab specialists will come out to the property with the lead report, go over it with the property owner, discuss what is going to be done at the property, and actually, write a work scope for the project. Once he comes back, types that up into a document, and I get that, and that goes out to bid. And it goes out to bid to contractors that are selected by the property owner. Through the application process, there's a contractor selection sheet that property owners have to fill out, and they have to pick from a list of contractors that we provide. Essentially, it's anybody in Rochester that has EPA certification as an abatement contractors on our list. Anybody that has those credentials and are not working for the public program, there's no reason why they would have them. So they pick from that list. We have about 13 or 14 contractors available right now, and that's been pretty decent. They've been able to service the workload pretty good. So we bid that out electronically to the contractors that are selected. They have 2 weeks to get us the bid back. And we open the bids and we award that project to the lowest reasonable bidding contractor. Mistakes are made all the time when we get the bids back. And then the paperwork starts. We have to send paperwork up to our law department to create the program. Yeah, go ahead, Elizabeth.
I just wanted to kind of backtrack a little bit on the application process. So we're looking at the page right now that talks about, for example, that a property owner has to be in compliance with taxes, right? Of course, yeah. Right? These are funds. But a property owner could also get into an agreement to pay taxes. Right. And as long as they're in a tax agreement, as long as they have made a plan with the city to pay if there are any outstanding taxes, then they can also apply for this. Yeah. And then there's also a residency requirement. So you can't just get this grant and then flip the property. You have to own it and or live in the house for at least 5 years. Yeah, and that's covered in the program. I was going to get to that in the program agreement stuff. But thanks for bringing up the taxes. That's an important point. Yes, you have to be current with your taxes or be on a tax agreement. That's a cardinal rule here. And the property can't be subject to a mortgage foreclosure. And you know, I don't want to sit there and say that you're there to help case manage, but you do case manage, right? I mean, if somebody submits a proposal to you and maybe there's a piece of documentation missing, et cetera, or information is unclear, it's not that you automatically, you know, put that application in the dustbin. You call the applicant and you say, you know what, this needs some clarity. You forgot this paperwork, et cetera. Yeah. I mean, the city is really trying to get these grants out because, you know, our community has been able to see a reduction of over 80% reduction in children reported with lead paint poisoning in the past decade. And part of that is due, in fact, to things like this lead ordinance and like the lead grants that we've got here. Our community is really focused on, you know, looking at primary prevention. So we don't want to find a lead poisoned child because then we've actually failed, right? We've let the system fail. We go in, we know where there are lead hazards. We have grants. Our community offers grants up to homeowners to make their homes safe. And so we want to make sure people get these grants, right? We don't want there to be any money left over. We want to make sure people are getting the help that they need so that children don't get poisoned.
Yeah, those are good points. Here. I mean, we echo those things, you know, daily. Very, very missionary with this program. It is very important. I could probably drive down, not kidding you, any independent of some of the neighborhoods in the Southeast, I could probably drive down any road in the city now and point to one project that we've done through the lead program. It's just amazing how much has gone out there. Anywho, finishing up the process here. So what are you signing up for? What you're signing up for is you do, as Elizabeth was talking about earlier, there is a program agreement that you sign. Owner occupants have to live in the property for 5 years. If they sell the property, that's okay, but you have to pay back a pro rata amount of the funds. And that's really it for owner occupants. And we do that because we don't want people flipping the house, right? We don't want to be giving out a government subsidy to a property owner and then they turn that property into a rental unit. That's a bad outcome. We don't want that to happen. With landlords, the same thing. The landlord has to maintain the ownership of the property 5 years, and they also have to maintain the property as lead safe for 5 years. And we do our best to do annual inspections. It's just a simple visual inspection to make sure that there aren't any potential lead hazards, and it would be incumbent on the property owner to fix those hazards if any damage is found. So they sign that. There's a mortgage. The mortgage gets attached to the property. It's 5 years. It's forgivable. You don't pay it back. That's just to secure the grant funds. And then that's it. That gets packaged up. We go out and we do a pre-construction meeting with the contractor and the property owner and our city representative to go over the work scope and specification. The contractor's given a notice to proceed, but he's not allowed to start that job until it's properly set up for lead safe work practices. So typically about a week and a half, 2 weeks after he gets that proceed, we get a call from the contractor that says, hey, I'm ready. And we go out and we document the site. I won't get into the technicality. The plastic has to be down. The sign, lead-based paint signs have to be up. The guys have to be in suits. Okay, the whole protocol there that we have to document. And then we take those pictures and we walk away. They do the job and we do interim inspections, surprise inspections during the job. And then we do a final. At the final, the contractor has to produce lead-based paint clearance for the property. And once we get that clearance in hand, we go out and do a final and make sure that all the work was done according to the work scope and specification, and make sure that the property owner's happy. They're not always, I'd say 9 times out of 10 they are, and we get 1 out of 10 that aren't. And we resolve those conflicts as best we can. And that's it. We move on to the next project. So it's, there's always room for improvement with these programs. It's a live animal, but I'd like to feel we got it pretty streamlined. The staff here have been doing this a long time. And the support that we get in the office has been very good. So our challenge is to be able to handle the volume right now because there's so much pent-up demand right now for these grants. And deferred maintenance is only going to get greater, right? I mean, almost half the city is unemployed right now, and that's a joke. Because of COVID. When I do these when I look at the income for the applications, I am seeing more and more COVID relief funds as a source of funds in these applications. It's scary, it really is. So in my mind, that people are gonna have less and less money to be fixing up the properties. I mean, it's replacing out a system. out of
No, and
population.
you're right, Conrad. If if maintenance deferred only makes the problem worse further down the line, right?
Yeah, I
So
mean,
it's
coupled with the fact that we have the second oldest housing stock in the nation. Maybe that's old school, but at some point I had heard that. But point is, we do have an incredibly aging housing stock, and it's only getting worse and worse. So our costs are going up. They're certainly not going down. They're going up. And, quite frankly, these properties need more than just getting a little away from the program now, but they need so much more than just the lead work. We need money for roofs. We need money for mechanicals. We need money for health and safety issues that the lead grants don't cover. So we're just.
Is there now? There used to be a little bit of health and safety.
Yeah, but it's not enough. It's not. It's just such a small amount that.
Right.
We have a couple $1,000s, and that goes like nothing. We can blow that on ventilation and smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors and insulation and air sealing. It runs the gamut.
Those are all great things too that are in addition to really looking at lead hazards. And that's actually, that actually came out of the data and the research that you guys were doing in these grants, right? You were going in realizing that once you're there, this A, B, and C also needs to be done. So why don't we get a little bit extra money, see what we can do with that, and then make those changes? Because you're also looking at a holistic approach, right?
Right, and that's the value of the renewable.
That study that we did, smoke detectors are a big deal, and a lot of people don't have them. And and certainly
nobody does. And if they do, the batteries aren't working.
Well, that's exactly what we found. So, number one, everybody check your batteries. So I just want to pause here quickly. Do Donna or Maxine, do either of you have any specific questions that are specific to your inquiry today?
I do. Is there a cap as far as funding goes? Like, say I have a home that needs a porch and windows. Is there a dollar cap of what I can apply for?
Yeah, we can't exceed $24,999 per unit. Okay, and the reason why that number's special is anything over 25, we have to do full lead-based paint abatement, which we don't want to do. This program is just to control hazards. So the $24,999 is the cap, but again, that's per unit. So if you have a 2-unit, it's double that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have, additional question. Does the unit has to be occupied, correct? It can't be.
No, it can be vacant.
Oh, it can. Oh, okay.
Yeah. If it's vacant, this program goes so much faster.
You guys actually prefer vacant units.
Yeah, HUD doesn't, but they are eligible.
Okay, and also, does it matter if it's a Section 8 home, if it's
No, if it's Section 8, if the tenant is receiving public assistance, that makes it easier, because for the purpose of collecting their income, that's all we need to see is their Section 8 statement. We know they're income eligible.
Okay, there was an additional question I had. It escapes me right now, but I'm sure I'll think of it.
At some point I gotta get my information out to everybody. If you want to take my email address down, why don't you take it down? You can just send your questions directly to me. Okay. It's conrad.floss.
Andrea already put it
there. It is. She's got it up on the screen there.
Oh.
It's, yeah.
Okay. Oh, it went away. City of Rochester.gov.
You can just click on the chat, Donna, and it'll be right there.
Okay.
Yeah, if the vacant units, they go so much faster because number one, we don't have to get the income from it. All you got to do is get us the application and we can get started. As long as the taxes are up to date.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's all you got to. That's all you got to do. You're not even filling out any paperwork really, and we get that. We can order the risk assessment right away, and things move so much faster. And it's also great because the contractors aren't stumbling over anybody, and you don't have any issues with tenants that don't want people in their units and so on and so forth. So yeah, those are.
Conrad, so if Donna owns a property in one of the quadrants, one of the specific quadrants, should she go to that neighborhood service center to get the application?
Absolutely. I've just given out the email address to get some quick questions answered, ahead of time. But yeah, you do need to go to your neighborhood service center to apply, and they'll answer all your questions there too, anything that I didn't cover. and they'll take your application there.
So Conrad, do you go by quadrants as far as grants go? Like I have homes in the 621 and area. Is there
We
area
go,
that you're
okay, you know, I'm glad you brought that up. When we apply to HUD, I don't want to give you a long answer here. When we apply to HUD, we have to identify a target area. Our target area is up in the Northwest. There's 4 census tracts up there that the data at the time show that they had the highest incidence of lead-based paint poisoning with eyeball children. And we're supposed to be focusing up there, and we're doing our best to do that. It's hard to do any marketing and outreach efforts because of COVID. We can't talk to anybody. But anyway, to answer your question, it's not quadrant driven. It's a citywide program, but that target area we are supposed to be focusing on.
okay?
But you can, it doesn't matter where your property is, it'll qualify.
Okay.
But the idea is to divide up the responsibility. So if your property is in that quadrant, you should be talking to that neighborhood service center. That doesn't mean
Right.
it's the only place you can get funding. I mean, you have to go to the other neighborhood service center for the other property. If it was, you know, if you had one in the Southwest and one in the Northwest, you'd have to go to different service centers for those.
Right, 2 different service centers.
And do you actually go in and do perform a lead test before to see if I would be eligible for the grant, or is it a visual inspection, or?
No, we don't. If we had manpower, it'd make a lot of sense to go out there and look first, but 99% of the time, the property has lead hazards. So we don't do any pre-screening. Once we get the application, we send our consultant out there, and he does the report, does the testing.
Okay.
And that's what the work scope will determine. And that's why Conrad was talking about, you know, some properties get, you know, what looks like a full rehab, and some properties get spot painting. It really, the work scope is determined by what is needed in that specific property.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, if you have properties, I highly encourage you to enroll properties. You're not going to find a better deal in terms of, you know, getting
Do you have your
specs.
hand up? Yes, you do.
Pardon?
All right. Can you go, we have a question from Maxine.
Yeah.
Myself and my sister both own the house together, so both of our names is on the deed. For filling out the application, do we have to put both of us, or just one of us have to do it?
One of you can fill it out, but the second, whoever's on the deed would have to also sign. So you can go over to the service center, fill everything out, bring everything back, and have the second person sign.
Okay.
You don't both have to be there.
Okay.
Any other questions for Conrad?
You know, again, just email me with questions. I get emails all day long, people asking me things, so.
And I can follow up in the follow-up email with everyone. I can send the links I put in the chat and Conrad's contact info.
And the Coalition to Prevent Lead Poisoning is also a good resource as well. You know, we are happy to share information. We're also happy to go, if you guys have groups or people that you think would want to have, you know, Andrea or I come and talk about this, we can also talk about this. Conrad's super busy. We are super lucky we got him today. It just was kind of a matter of coincidence. It really lucked out. And so we're very grateful that he was able to share his expertise today. But, you know, we can also share this information in general as well. And we're happy to do that and provide additional resources. We also have, you know, we have information about the actual lead ordinance itself, about our RP training. We have a bunch of different programs coming up about some of the basics along with all of this. And so we encourage everybody to do as much research as you can, and to also know that there are a lot of resources in this community to both help property owners but also to make sure that we're getting children tested for exposure to lead hazards, that make sure that tenants know that there's a certificate of occupancy and that they're entitled to live in lead safe housing. We have a lot of resources in this community, and so we want to make sure everybody knows what's out there and what's available. So please feel free to reach out if we can be of any assistance.
I have a question. Are there brochures at the neighborhood service centers?
Yeah.
Okay, so I could go pick one up for a neighbor, for example.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
They're also, the PDF is also on that website link that I put in the chat. So for example, my brochure, I just printed it out this morning.
I don't have a color printer though.
Well, you know, I only
You
have
can always
color
view it.
because I got it from work. If it was on my own printer, it would have been black and white. So, you know,
Okay, thank you.
I can mail this to you if you want, Jen.
All right. Well, thank you everybody so much for joining us today. And thank you again,
quick
Conrad.
My
Oh,
pleasure.
Sorry, Kate,
I heard a
you had
question.
It's
Yeah.
a really quick one. So thinking about our research, we're going to be doing a follow-up. So I think you said that the average time the program takes is between 4 to 6 months.
Yeah.
So that is like actual construction is happening during that time?
Yeah, soup to nuts from the time the application's complete till a lead-based paint clearance is about 4 to 6 months.
Okay, great. Thank you. I just want to make sure I wrote that down.
Oh, and
Great.
this program will be, it has been recorded and it will be on our YouTube channel as well. So it'll be available should you want to share that with anybody else. And again, let us know if we can be of any assistance. And I just want to thank you, Conrad, so much for sharing your expertise with us and your time.
You're welcome.
Thank you so
No
much.
problem.
And thank you, Andrea, for coordinating all of this. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Andrea.
Of
Good
course.
job.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Have a good rest of your day.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, thanks.
Thanks.